If you thought the Saw Viper did dirty by the Joes, you should really check out what Cobra Commander did to his own people. Let's take a look. G'day all, welcome back to Frostbite's GRJ Repro. So we haven't seen too much that can ever compare to the Joes being killed by the Saw Viper in A Real American Hero issue 109. I covered it a while back in my Joes Killed video. It was really horrific, just pretty painful to see. But there is an event that happened to Cobra that compares to it, and if you're a real Cobra fan, it could even pretty much overtake what happened to the Joes. So we're going to take a look today at issue number 98. Now, shit really went bad in this. I mean, when we look at issue 109, there was a war situation, and the Saw Viper had been given orders by Coco to take care of the Joes. We sort of know that was taken badly by Saw Viper, and it wasn't exactly what Cobra Commander wanted. So there is a bit of justification there. But when we take a look at issue number 98, holy crap. It's just full on. So here's the cover for it, if you haven't seen it before. It's an outstanding cover. It's got, we can see Cobra Commander's leg in the left-hand side of the cover. You can then see a whole bunch of Cobra sort of huddling up against each other. See some Vipers troopers in the background. You can see Raptor, you can see Mindbender, Captain Nim. There's Zartan and Billy. Like, there's a whole bunch of people in this situation on the cover. Let me know in the comments if you hadn't seen this before, because it's always the problem when we rehash over really old content that it's probably inevitable that you're aware that this happened, but we're going to go through it a fair bit more and just go through actually what happened. So yeah, let me know in the comments. I'd personally forgotten about this. So it's one of these nice things when I do rehash old content. It does refresh my memory, and it's really cool. Okay, so we see issue number 98 start out by some stuff going on in Canada. I've got some of the boys, including Rock and Roll, up in Canada. They're taking care of some arms dealing that Cobra's doing, and they effectively bust in on a meeting that's happening at a fishing or a hunting hut. And through a bit of stuffing around, they unearth a whole Cobra terradrome that was mysteriously below the ice behind the hut. So yeah, they're sort of hot on the heels of Cobra doing business up in Canada. And then the issue comes back to we have some Vipers digging up some dirt. Now, why this is happening is because in issue 97, Raptor is talking to Mindbender, and Coco was shot by Fred 7 a while back. So Cobra Commander dead. Mindbender is urged by Raptor to dig up his body and get some DNA and then just clone him, make another one. To which Mindbender effectively states, hey, the only one that knows where that body was Fred 7. And Raptor lets us know that he was there helping Fred 7 bury the corpse. So in issue number 98, that's when we start seeing some vipers digging up, effectively trying to dig up the body. So after a bit of the vipers digging, they eventually find something. They call Raptor and Mindbender over. And what do they find? They find like a jacket with a bullet hole in the back of it. Raptor's effectively shitting his pants at this point because he knows he buried the body. And then we hear a voice in the background, and lo and behold, it's Coco. There's a bit of disbelief there initially, but Coco then goes through and explains that even though Fred 7 shot him, he was found by another one of his Freds that he'd sent to like tail these apparent suspicious actions. And when Fred 7 and Raptor left the body covered up, this Fred had found Coco, resuscitated him, and then taken him to another Fred who was, really good, a really good doctor. It was cracking me up reading about all these Freds. So yeah, and then Cobra Commander continues to explain that after he was better, he started an organization again, using his Freds, and was just making money hand over fist. So yeah, after all of these explanations, I think it's that point that Raptor and Mindbender realize that it's an oh shit moment. And that's when everyone jumps in the helicopter and heads back to Cobra Island. So meanwhile, back on the island, we've got a discussion or an argument going on in the bottom of a freighter, which is sitting effectively in like a dry riverbed. So it's not going anywhere. So hones in on the conversation, and we can see a whole bunch of Cobra faithfuls in there, all arguing. So in there, we can see Crocmaster, Zoltar, Cobra Commander battle suit or battle armor, which we know is Fred 7. And we see Firefly in there as well. So, and we know there's a whole bunch of troopers in there, like there's a heap of people in there. There's a bit of an argument going on over who's who. Even Zartan's actions with the Blind Master come up. A whole bunch of fighting. And then once again, we hear a voice from the background, and it's OG Coco again, here to wreck people's days. We see another bit of an oh shit moment from all the people in the freighter, where Coco starts explaining that, it's not really a good day for everyone that's done him wrong. Hilariously, Mindbender and Raptor choose the worst time to start trying to pelt at all those people in the freighter by saying, "Yeah, you should teach them a lesson, Coco." To which Cobra Commander just effectively turns around and says, "You guys screwed me over as well," and throws them into the freighter. So we now have a whole bunch of people in the bottom of this freighter that life isn't looking so good for them. So we then see Cobra Commander have his final words. He shuts the hatch on the ship, locking all of these people down in the freighter. And he pulls out his remote control, and all of a sudden we see a whole bunch of blasts go off in the riverbed. We see the arms purchasers on the island start questioning whether they're hearing gunshots or what kind of explosions they're hearing. And with that, we see a whole bunch of water starts pouring into the riverbeds, and it picks the ship up. This confuses the crap out of our unlucky um, travelers on the ship. And they start, stating that the ship was landlocked. How could it be floating? Um, and that ship then starts sailing along to an extinct volcano, um, to which Cobra Commander then sets off another couple of charges, and that opens up a hole in the side of the volcano. Um, we then see we'll see a funny statement by someone asking Zartan if it might be a good time for him to turn into a key, because his skills are so good. That would get them out. But yeah, that freighter then travels through the side of the mountain into the mountain itself, into the volcano. And they really notice it on the ship. Gets a bit bumpy, and then Coco, in basically in his most maniacal statement ever, um, he explains that's it. He's just gotten rid of the trash effectively, and he sets off another charge, and that seals them in. So they are now sealed in that extinct volcano. Okay, next up we go to issue number 99. It's in this issue that it opens up with uh, the guys in the freighter trying to get a door open, a hatch door open, and they do eventually get it open and just find solid rock up against the side of the door. So they're not getting out that way. They then start discussing plans of possibly digging their way out. They identify that they have absolutely no tools, so it could take years. They don't know. Um, they take inventory of their food supplies, and they note that they have all their tanks are fully filled, and they have a heap of rations. There's some funny conversations that go on about the taste quality of the rations, and they discover that it's all of the rations are ham and lima beans. So I had a bit of a laugh at that. It's at this point that Zartan comes forward with a plan, um, and that plan being that they're just going to try and dig their way out, and if they just do it around the clock, then they might make it before the food and water runs out. Fred Seven decides that he's going to take this exact moment to rock the boat and try and vie for the leadership role. And Zartan, effectively comes out with his statement of, it's always a good thing to not piss people off when you're in charge. As Raptor then makes his way to sort him out. The rest of number 99, it's effectively, then looking at the re-rise of Cobra Commander. He goes back and, visits the jail and pulls out the Dreadnoks, or specifically pulls out Zorana, who then goes through with Cobra Commander about how they've brainwashed Rock and Roll and Clutch, and she starts enacting a plan of sending them, or being close to them when they re-enter the pit, and noting to Cobra Commander that they'll have two brainwashed Joes that can go back to the pit and just wreck shit. To which Cobra Commander's pretty happy with that. We then, just out of interest, there's this mini subplot of two kids who knew that the base was out in the middle of the desert, and they ride out there, and they think it's where the government is keeping the aliens. And through some vehicle movements, Lady J picks them up and takes them into the pit, which I thought was pretty funny. Very very homely people, the Joes. Now, we don't hear anything again about the freighter until issue 114. It's right at the end of the issue and cuts to a scene of a whole bunch of Vipers, the classic Vipers, walking around Cobra Island, and they're upset that other Vipers are overseas getting to loot and pillage, and they're stuck patrolling the island. One of them discovers a tunnel, and he states that it's been dug from the inside. And this is the interesting point, that they call for some toxo vipers. They get in there and they go through the actual cause of all the deaths, which was botulism, and they state that it was a bacteria problem with one of the ready-to-eat meals, and they stated that the people that had eaten it had died horrifically from that botulism, like they were in pain. And in the last sort of panel, we see that they go through the list of people that were on there, and there's 2 bodies missing. And those bodies are Zartan and Billy. It's then in issue 116 that things, start taking a bit of a turn. Cobra Commander on a helicopter gets informed that Zartan and Billy have escaped. He is not too pleased about that, and clearly states that he wants them found. Cobra notes that one of their aircraft is missing, and that's where we sort of cut to Cobra Commander is in his helicopter flying to take care of Destro. So they're bringing a whole bunch of firepower over to Destro's house, and they're going to knock on the shop door and knock it down. We then see Billy and Zartan, as well as some Joes, all sort of around the Destro home castle, and they spot each other. They start having interactions, and that's when Cobra attacks the castle. Things get pretty hairy. Destro thinks he's got the upper hand, and starts knocking out Cobra firepower. And then he actually realizes, once he hits one of the houses that's located on the outside of his estate, he realizes that was full of dirt and that Cobra has actually been tunneling in under the castle to blow it all up. He realizes just in time for his groundskeeper to help them escape, and that actually turns out to be Chuckles. So yeah, we have a lot of interaction between Zartan and Billy and Cobra and the Joes and Destro in this one comic, and it's actually Zartan and Billy that help Destro escape at the end. Not Baroness, though. She gets shot and left for Cobra Commander to pick up. So, yeah, really quite an interesting episode. Interestingly enough, at the start of the comic, when the Vipers are going through the freighter to confirm the body count, you do see Mindbender and Raptor dead on the ground. You just see the outlines of their faces. So at that point, they are confirmed dead. So we see a bit more of Billy and Zartan escaping with Destro in 116 and 117. And that becomes more of a chase of Destro. We start seeing the Night Creepers getting involved. We see Ninja Force, see Storm Shadow. Like everyone starts joining this party, and it's sort of at this point we don't really see Zartan and Billy. They sort of just fade away, that's cool. That's what we expect from someone like Zartan and Billy. So that's cool. But then it comes down to issue number 126. And that's when we see Firefly expose his, well, don't want to say his face. Well, he does expose his face, but first up, he exposes his balaclava with his known camouflage on it. And that's when everyone in the swamp with him sort of poops themselves and realizes that Firefly actually shouldn't be alive. So he was one of the people on the freighter. And he then, while he's battling them, explains what happened. So his explanation is that while Zartan was sort of taking control of everyone on the freighter, Firefly sort of snuck away, and he said he knew where the bodies were buried, or he knew where the bodies were. And when he said that, he was referring to some bats that were used a long time ago. They were all stored on the freighter. And he ended up going and reactivating those bats and getting the bats to dig out for him. Whilst, there's a nice picture of him on a hammock that is strung over bat heads. And he said it took him 3 weeks, whereas it took the rest of them a year to dig out. And sort of everyone questioning him at the time brought up, well, why didn't you, what sort of person are you for not letting everyone else in the freighter know that you had a way out, and within 3 weeks as well. So, it was very much in tune with what we know about Firefly. He's just an asshole. So they go on to battle some more Ninja Force guys, then realize that he's a bit more special, and he reveals himself to be the Faceless Master. So, yeah, 126, it's quite a sweet comic. It even states in there how he hired a contractor to kill someone, and Zartan was the contractor that performed the kill, and we all know who that was. So go check out issue 126, because it's sort of a very good end to the whole freighter thing. We knew that only 2 of them escaped, but then ages later, we learned that someone else escaped. And you'd sort of expect Firefly to get out as well. Firefly, Zartan, and Billy, they were perfect candidates to eventually escape. I think of significance, we only sort of lost Voltar, Raptor, and Dr. Mindbender. And also noting that Serpentor's body was on the freighter as well. Both Serpentor and Mindbender ended up getting remade later on, so cloned and remade again. So yeah, it was a bit of a really interesting ending to this whole freighter thing, which just it spanned, nearly 30 comics, or the timeline of 30 comics. So yeah, pretty amazing, I thought. But let me know in the comments, how familiar you were with all of this. I sort of knew that there was something bad that happened in the freighter, but it's like I said, it's been a while since I've actually gone back and checked out exactly what happened and how it sort of spanned all the comics. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Please check out my channel if you're not already subscribed. Hit that sub button, hit that like button if you've enjoyed the video today. I also offer channel memberships. Please check into that. $2 to $3 a month, and you get your own special VIP content for the channel. But like I said, thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.